Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us tmosso@the1916company.com. It is in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for inquiring about this or any of our watches. Email us for pricing tmosso@the1916company.com. Today, we are discussing my favorite kind of watch to share. Rare, wild, extraordinary. This is the Roger Dubuis Hommage double flying tourbillon with hand guilloche. Launched in 2014, this watch is part of the long-running Hommage collection, which was one of the original two Dubuis collections back in the mid-90s when the brand was founded. This, however, is an evolution that uses the company's now signature twin Celtic cross flying tourbillon. So 45 millimeters in diameter in 5N red gold. The watch is 16.7 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip. It measures 51 millimeters, and the lug spacing is a little bit of an oddball, 25.5 millimeters. The watch is large. Out of the hand and onto the wrist, you can see it really is quite immense. I would say that you probably need a wrist a little bit larger than mine to wear this. I don't know, you might think this looks good. So I think it's just barely out over the edge of my wrist, and I think down the barrel you can see that. But some people will find this quite agreeable because they like the big watch look. And if that's you, the watch would sit securely on my wrist. I think from a proportional standpoint, you want to be just a little bit larger. So let's say 17 centimeters circumference and up. Look at that extraordinary rhodium-plated lathe guilloche dial, explosively bright. The timepiece features a strap to match, large rectangular scale alligator leather, semi-glass, medium brown. You can see that semi-gloss with a little bit of a shine to it. It's not quite matted or nubuck style. We have a monotone stitch, a sheer cut edge, and on the bottom, calfskin. This is a brand new Roger Dubuis factory strap in uncrimped, ungouged condition. And you will appreciate that in order to drill the lugs fairly close to the case, a curved spring bar is used so there's no impediment to the range of motion of the strap for better fit on the wrist. The strap does have a little bit of bolstering or stuffing to give it volume. Roger Dubuis, you can see the initials of the founder on the buckle. Twin trigger release, press them down, it opens up. It is 5N red gold like the rest of the watch. Being a trigger release buckle, it cannot fly open inadvertently. The case is robust. Now you can see this is a pre-owned watch, so there are some marks here, and I want to just be clear about that. Some little hairlines on the watch. Nothing offensive, nothing with depth that you can feel. Just some marks of having been owned and used. And in general, a watch that is worn is a happier watch mechanically than one that has not. We've elected not to refinish and not to remove any material here. Taking a quick look at the case, you can see that the lugs are beautifully made. These are welded on lugs. In other words, a case made the old-fashioned and slow way. Case and lugs made separately, slots in the case for the lugs, lugs inserted, welded together, and then all gathered material from the weld removed by hand with a file to create a super sharp break between case and lug. There's a little bit of a teardrop undertucked to the lug profiles. You can see that they have sheer sides with satin. All the satin is longitudinal. They have a little bit of a soft bevel on the side, bevel and top polished. The bezel is polished. You can see it has a little vertical lip and then a concave profile. We have a Roger Dubuis fluted crown with the company logo on it. This is a manual wind watch. And you can see here an extraordinary sunray guilloche. So we have two different tones. We have more of an anthracite for the raised track outboard against which you read hours and minutes, and then inboard brilliantly, blindingly rhodium-finished sunray guilloche. Now, this is the real thing, not stamped. Executed on a lathe by a guillocheur. It is a manual process. And this is something that came into popularity in the late 18th century, and this idea of having engine turning on the dial in the modern era is considered to be one more craft art. So we have the Geneva seal movement, hand-finished. We have this handmade welded lug case. We have this rose lathe and straight line lathe guilloche dial. Okay, hard to miss two flying tourbillon regulators. You could see that the actual tourbillon cages are completely mirror polished on their top, beveled on their edges, and they sport sharp interior creases where bevels meet. Now, not all of these interior creases are created equal. Some of them are distinctly sharper than others, but working in such a narrow confine on steel components, very difficult to get in there and very difficult to finish accurately. So this is well done. You can see each one acts effectively as a seconds hand because these are both 3 Hertz, 1 minute flying tourbillon. They are flying tourbillon because they have no upper bridge to block your view. You can see both polished screws and blackened screws on these structures. You can see at center there is a bridge for the motion works. We have the two primary wheels that drive the hands. You can see the hour wheel and the minute wheel, plus the minute wheel pinion driving the hour wheel. And then the minute hand actually sits on top of the cannon pinion below all that. Spectacular, solid block, rose gold Roman numerals radially arrayed. You can see that they've been satinated across their top. We have feuille-style hands or leaf hands that have been polished. Note the bridge for the motion works features both beveling and satination. Beautiful attention to detail. It is a very chatty watch. In a quiet room, you can actually hear it. It's quite audible. And that's true of most tourbillon regulators. Turning it all over, 30 meters water resistant. You can see the metallized signature of Roger Dubuis. This is a 52 jewel movement that is approximately 36 millimeters across, extraordinarily large and properly sized to fit the case. You can see boasting 100% Swiss made. Geneva hallmark, of course, a standard for watches made in the city or canton of Geneva. So we have circular Côte de Genève laid down by abrasive. We have mirrored anglage to a high degree. We have some skeletonization underneath the tourbillon carriages so you can see them in action. We have satination on all wheels. All screw heads are black polished with chamfered slots in circumference. We have a small sunray guilloche for the power reserve indicator, and the manual wind power reserve is 50 hours. All told here we have 452 parts, of which over 300 are individually finished specifically to meet the Poisson de Genève standards, and it takes 1,200 hours to create, finish, adjust, and regulate all of these parts. And by the time this watch was made in 2014, Dubuis, a true manufacturer, making every part of the watch, just about every part of the watch in-house. Deeply impressive stuff, and a watch that offers outstanding value for what is shoot-the-moon finishing, engineering, and execution. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.